Here we talk about everything to do with marine equipment. This is the METSTRADE podcast. A major theme this year at METSTRADE is emerging technologies, and we're going to hear about one. So this is one of our sponsors, FarSounder, the CEO. Nice to meet you, Matt.
Nice to see you, Ben.
So tell me a little bit about the technology that you're involved in and the whole mission of FarSounder.
Sure. FarSounder produces a 3D forward-looking sonar. So the goal is to look out underwater ahead of the yacht at navigationally significant ranges to see the types of obstacles and hazards that you don't want to hit. So things like rocks, whales, coral, shipping containers. If you don't want to hit it, that's what we're designed to see.
Right, okay, and typically what kind of vessels are these on board? What's the main focus during METSTRADE? Is it more super yacht focused or wider leisure marine?
METSTRADE, we're primarily focused on yachts from 17 meters and above.
Yeah.
But of course, there's all different sectors of the industry there. So we have installations on lots of expedition cruise ships, Navy and Coast Guard vessels, survey vessels, research vessels, and those are all different customers that we've met over the years during the METSTRADE.
Yeah, during the event. So what I find fascinating about this is it's not really just a problem solved there and kind of safety on board. You're also doing some very clever things with the data that comes up from this kind of technology. Could you explain a little bit more about what kind of data you collect and why it's so useful?
Of course. Well, maybe it makes sense to step back a moment. Our initial motivation when developing this technology was how can we have a positive environmental impact? We're based in Rhode Island in the northeast of the U.S. That's the home of the North Atlantic right whales. Right. Leading cause of death, one of the top 2 leading cause of deaths for them is ship strike. Wow. And you think about another huge environmental impact, oil spills. So we wanted to develop a technology that would help vessels avoid hitting whales, causing whale ship strikes, avoid hitting rocks, causing oil spills.
Right.
And that led to our really passion to develop these technologies. So that's why we developed these products that we have.
Yeah.
And today we're really focused on how do we get that into the hands of as many users as possible.
Right, and you've got the Argos range. So what's so special about the Argos range? I might say it's slightly different to you, but I read it as Argos.
Sure, this is American accent. So in my American accent, I call it the Argos 3D Forward Looking Sonars.
Yeah.
We have 3 models.
Yeah.
Argos 350, Argos 500, Argos 1000.
Okay.
Cleverly named for their maximum detection range of
beautiful.
350 meters, 500 meters, and 1,000. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we look out ahead, build that real-time image ahead of the vessel.
Yeah.
We also build a map of everywhere they've been. So when you return to an area, you have an idea of what to expect based on what you saw last time.
So if you've navigated, I'm Southern American now.
Yeah.
If you've navigated certain cruise grounds before, you've actually stored that data. It'll redisplay
exactly. So
not as though you're exploring it for the first time.
Exactly. So think about you've entered a barrier reef.
Yeah.
You have the real-time sonar. Tide was high, so you could get real close, to the edge of the entrance to that barrier. But now when you're coming back out, the tide is low, the entrance is much more narrow.
Yeah.
You can see from your previous survey in, we gotta move a little bit more to port, maybe.
And you'd also have more vision looking forward, because even though the sonar's not picking up, say, 500 meters in front of you,
exactly,
it might have been 2 kilometers ahead of yourself and you can already see it.
Exactly. Right. So it doesn't guarantee that nothing's changed since then, but you at least have a good idea of what to expect, and you still have the real-time capabilities.
Right. So we're getting deep into this data side. That's great for the user on board, so the skipper, that particular vessel. How is that then shared, and what kind of programs are involved there? Who have you partnered with to really make the most of that data?
Well, great question. Like I said before, we're really coming from an environmental motivation. So we, of course, want to benefit our customers with our sonar systems, but how can we positively impact the rest of the community? That map that we build, by default, lives on board the customer vessel. But if they opt in, they can anonymously share that across the FarSounder fleet, get the aggregate map from everybody else.
Yeah.
And we make contributions anonymously on their behalf to Seabed 2030. And that's a global effort supported by the IHO, endorsed by the UN, to try and map the world's oceans. And
It's quite hard.
yeah,
It's quite difficult to do.
only about 26% of the world's oceans have been mapped. And as a comparison, back in 2017, we had mapped 99% of the surface of Mars.
I was going to say, this is going to come into space, isn't it? And go, we know more about what's going on there.
Exactly. I use that quote all the time. It's not mine, I stole that straight, but it's a good 2030. But it's a great way to recognize, like, why is this important?
We should know a lot more about the Seabed.
We should.
Exactly. And so that database, that organization with Seabed 2030, where does that information go? Is that kind of aggregated so that there is just one big map?
There was one big map. It's the JEBCO World Map.
Right, okay.
It was started by the Prince of Monaco over 100 years ago.
Right.
And to date, they've collected a map that's 26% of the world's oceans. And they try to aggregate data from official surveys, scientific work, private commercial vessels, crowdsourcing. That's where our customers participate. And combining all of that, they've only gotten to 26% coverage. There's a lot more to go.
Yeah.
Seabed 2030 sort of acts as the public face and the spokesperson. But the databases are held around the world, and IHO plays a big part of hosting a lot of the data that goes into the Seabed 2030 total map.
Right, okay, beautiful. There's the International Seakeeper Society. How do you work with them? Why do you work with them?
Well, I'm a big fan of, if a vessel is going somewhere already, doing something they're normally doing, why not even take little steps to contribute and give back?
Yeah, I was going to say, make the most of it.
Exactly. And Seakeepers, they're really dedicated on connecting scientists with ship time on board yachts so that scientists can do the science they want to do.
Yeah.
That's a very active thing for those yachts. They have to bring on passengers. Maybe they have special itineraries. It can be coupled with, a science cruise for guests on board. It could be coupled with a sea trial, a maintenance sea trial while the guests are not on board, really whatever the vessel wants to do. And I think that's a huge value to science.
Every time I hear about the organization, I'm just like, it's almost like a wasteful activity, almost like there's so much wasted capacity there.
Yeah.
Let's fill that with scientific research or something good for the planet.
Exactly.
Rather than it just happening and kind of being like, well, yeah, the vessel's back now.
Exactly.
Maybe in hindsight that would have been good. It's actually making it happen and getting scientists on board and some really, really good campaigns.
And with our direct customers, we've really been focusing on what they can do during their normal day. So they can contribute depth maps as part of Seabed 2030. Of course, they get everybody else's map in exchange, but they're still providing a benefit.
Yeah.
In our next version of the software, we are adding a whale and floating trash observation button.
Okay, so, very topical.
Yeah, so when the bridge crew is, on watch, hopefully it's boring 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
And they spot a whale over there or floating trash over here, they can mark that in our software.
Oh, right, wow.
Send it up to our cloud servers, again, anonymously.
Yeah.
And then we'll pass it on to the relevant endpoint. So for trash, we're going to be working with IC, which is an organization dedicated to mapping the world's trash. Floating around the world. And the whale data is going to go to all of those organizations that are dedicated to help protect and conserve whale populations.
Where the data should be.
Exactly. And why not? They're seeing it anyways.
And as an organization, you've already got this data, so use it, make the most of it.
Exactly.
And let's focus on METSTRADE. What is your mission there throughout the show? Why should some people come and visit you? What's the kind of focus?
Well, of course, we have our own booth in the Super Yacht Pavilion. Okay. We've had that for, almost 2 decades now.
Right, okay, yeah.
But of course, we're also walking the show, doing network events, talking to stakeholders in our customer base.
Yeah.
So oftentimes that is fleet operators, owners reps, build captains, shipyard project managers.
Yeah.
We want to make it as easy as possible for one of our customers to get a FarSounder on board their vessel. We do about 50% refit and about 50% new builds in the yachting and cruise ship markets. So whatever we can do to make it easy, that's what we're there for.
Okay, magic. Thank you very much for your insights, Matthew.
Thanks, Ben. It's great chatting with you.
Yeah, likewise. Everybody, if you enjoy content like this, then make sure you're following here to see plenty more of it. All being well, I will see you at METSTRADE. Bye for now.